Hello, everybody. Welcome to this workshop slash webinar hybrid about crafting your AI visibility strategy. Now, we're going to learn what the algorithm craves so you can provide it to them and get rewarded with more traffic, more bookings, more followers, more visibility that will help you grow your business. So, let's get started. Before we jump too much into that, I want to talk about me for a second. So you know who I am, who's talking at you. I am Bex, and I have over a decade in the SEO space. So throughout my career, I've worked with brands like Roku, McAfee, Better Homes and Gardens, Sotheby's, and more. I also just love talking about SEO, and I teach the most popular certification program on the web on Coursera with over 400,000 students to date. Not listed here, but I also teach the most popular content marketing specialization on Coursera and am working on their newest AI SEO program, which will be launching next year as well. So I am super excited, clearly, to be talking about SEO. It's what I do and live and breathe, and I'm just super fascinated by it and get the opportunity to talk about it whenever I can. So you are going to luckily benefit from that. I want to quickly start out by saying I despise hopping on webinars where they give me a little secret of something, a little glimpse, and then they tell me, oh, okay, now you have to pay me to get more information. But like I just said, I just love teaching. I love talking about the subject, and I'm not going to provide some weird bait and switch. So you don't have to be kind of on pins and needles wondering, oh my God, when is she just going to tell me I have to buy something already? If you do want to buy something, however, you can work with me. I am more than happy to tell you how I do things so you can do it yourself, or we can work together and I can do it for you. So if you're ever interested, go check out my services at Summon and Sell. Right now, I have a site elixir where I will audit your entire website, give you the best recommendations to get you seen, categorize them by quick little actions you can implement in a cute 20 minutes or less, and send you on your way to attract traffic and visibility. But that's not why we're here today. We're here to learn. So let's jump forward. My late aunt, rest her soul, she used to make pottery, but it was like really, really nice pottery, really classy pottery, extremely tasteful, extremely expensive looking. So, it's the kind that was like, always in these muted earth colors that just make things look really expensive. It was the kind of plates you would spend, $150 or more on at like Williams and Sonoma, but better. Anyway, she would have been wildly successful at this hobby of hers. But you know what she didn't have? The internet. And I could have taught her how to sell $150 plates. And back then, in 1999, she could have built this GeoCity site to sell these plates. And that would have bought both of us a lot of, I don't know, Furbies or Beanie Babies. But story aside, the question is, if you were selling $150 plates, how would you sell them? What would you do? How do you sell anything? Whether your service is writing, photography, customized branding packages, whatever it is you do, how do you sell it? Well, it's not going to be by making your product or service better. I'm willing to bet that your product or service is already awesome. So what else could it be? Is it, just finding your niche? Classic advice, right? No, snore. We don't want that boring stuff. Is it, using influencers since they already have the platform you don't? No, definitely not. Is it boss girly advice? I think I puked a little when I was writing this. And could it be, the ever classic, ever present advice of just use trending audio? No. How is that working out for you? It's by making your work visible. If people don't know you exist, they're not going to buy from you, are you? People have to be aware of you at the right moments, at the right time, when they're looking for exactly what you need. And being visible requires intention. Most people shove something out there onto a website and just really hope and pray that people will see it and notice it and buy it. But there's one big problem with that. Somebody else has already done that. So, how do you do it better? How do you do it intentionally? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. But I want to say this isn't about promoting AI use. If you are a big AI user, good for you. This isn't about how to use AI to optimize your site and your services. It is how to be visible when others are using AI. So, just wanted to put that out there. Also, as I've mentioned, there's no gatekeeping, hidden upsells, anything like that. Okay, so let's talk about what you're going to learn by the end of this webinar. You're going to learn how to identify what your ideal customers are searching when they're looking for you. And you're going to learn to identify how they're searching, what systems they're using, what their journey is like. And then you're going to learn where and how you can show up in both AI and Google searches and the difference in optimizing between the two. You're going to learn the really one most important thing you can do to optimize for in ChatGPT to get extra visibility that very few people, even SEOs, realize. This is a really little hack and it's going to bring you so much extra traffic. Then you're going to learn how to structure your content in a way that AI loves so they can understand it, know what you're about, and get you featured in the answers. Then I'm going to tell you the top 4 things to include in your content to increase your visibility, both in AI and in Google, but primarily for AI in this thing. And then I'm going to tell you the one major thing that you need to do outside of optimizing your own site to get your site, your social profiles, and more seen in AI search. I want to quickly cover one thing. This is an example of my site, one of my sites, because I'm addicted to SEO and I have too many side projects. Somebody really needs to stop me. This is just a small side project of mine, one of my blogs, but you can see here highlighted that I get quite a lot of traffic from Google Organic over a 30-day period. But I also have 860 referrals from ChatGPT, and those are very high engaged people. I also have quite a few visits from Perplexity, another AI engine. Some more just from ChatGPT, not said as the same referral above. So it would almost match my Google traffic when you add that together. And then, we have Bing, LinkedIn, etc., as well as a little bit from Gemini and then email. But can you see how this adds up? How almost half of my traffic is from AI search engines. And not only that, but this traffic converts far better than any other traffic source. And you may think you need a huge business to get these kind of results. This is one of my blogs. It's not huge. I do rank pretty well for a lot of terms, but you can see it's a pretty average blog earning, a decent amount of organic traffic. This is a small business owner I saw on Threads. I asked her if I could use this quote. She said a dream client showed up to her sales call and they found her on Claude. Claude is another AI search engine. And they told their, chatbot Claude, I want a breathwork facilitator who's committed to decolonial work and trauma-informed practices. People go to AI because they want highly specific results, highly specific people. And Claude sent them over to her. This is what we can do for your business. And I want to tell you a little bit about the conversion rates of traffic sent through AI engines. Because previously, people would have to go and do all of their research in Google from the very initial discovery, I'm not even sure what I want phase, all the way down to being ready to book. Now, AI engines are doing all of the convincing in a chat for you. And by the time they go to your site, they've been convinced. They know all about you. They're ready to book. The ChatGPT conversion rate on my site is 132% higher than organic traffic is because those people are primed to convert. So I want to ask a quick question to everybody here. Drop a little emoji in the comments. No shame, no judgment. How often do you use AI, chatbots, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Claude, whatever it is, to search for info? Drop your little emoji in the comments. We'll see. I'm seeing a couple ghosts, some crows, pumpkin, some more ghosts and crows, another pumpkin. Okay, this aligns with what I was expecting and some of the results that I got as well. So let's dive into that. So Let's talk about it. How are people using search to find services and products like mine or yours? Well, when I asked, how many times do you search for business related questions online? I asked 490 people this. The biggest answer was at least 4 times a week. How many times they search for business related questions online? 4 times a week. And when we asked, what search engine do you use most often? 490 people, still, same count, almost 97% of them said Google. Now, when I asked, which of the following have you used to solve a business problem in the last 6 months? Well, that's where it gets a little interesting. We see a large portion of people still using Google. We see a large portion of people using YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine, you guys. It's amazing for getting visibility. It's amazing for building what I call your content discovery engine, which is getting your content everywhere by repurposing it easily to different places. People are also using business focused blogs or websites, forums and communities like Reddit, 20%, 32% on social media. But what we see here is A7, that row, 32, 33 almost percent are using AI tools. And when I asked, what kind of business problems are you trying to solve? They were trying to solve things like finding the right service provider. They were trying to understand the types of services or packages that they want to look for. They wanted help marketing themselves. They wanted to know what tools, systems, and processes they needed in order to help their business be successful. They wanted to get advice on how to scale their business. They wanted accounting, budgeting, and tax help. And some just wanted mindset shifts and practices. So, when I asked which of these AI tools have you used to ask these questions to, most people use ChatGPT. The next highest amount is Gemini, followed by Google's own AI overviews, which I suspect is higher, and maybe many people don't realize that they're using it, to be honest. And then followed by, Claude, or they don't know. Now, I also want to tell you the projected annual visitors by source. So this pretty colored blue line you see is your traditional organic search. Those are people searching in Google. And what are you seeing here is it's dropping fast, like a rock. Okay, we're seeing this go out of favor so quickly. Now, when we're looking at the red line, people using LLMs, Google AI overviews, ChatGPT, we're seeing this increase. This is going to pick up at a rapid rate by 2028. And that seems maybe far when we talk about it, but it's only 2 years from now. And in order to be here in 2028, you need to start preparing today because by 2028, AI search is going to be just as popular, if not more popular, than Google. Search habits are completely changing. And if you wait until then to know how to get visible, you're going to be missing out on so much. So, what are the main ingredients? So, you have your search habits. Those are how people are searching for things. That can tell us a ton about how you can show up for those searches, especially the ones where people are most likely to invest and buy and book. Let's talk really quickly about how people search because this is going to be how you set up your website, how you create content, what types of content and topics you create. And this will help people find you. There's four main types. There's the how do I search, which is for people looking how to accomplish something. Remember, they don't necessarily want to do this themselves at this point. They want to know how to do it. There's navigational searches. So this is where people may be looking for a particular website or maybe looking for a particular location. Maybe they're talking about, yoga practitioners near me and they're adding that near me term. There's research driven phases. This is where somebody wants to learn more about a subject. So, for example, if they're buying candles, maybe they want to learn more about regular versus soy based wax. And in this stage, they're really refining what they know, they're refining what they need, they're refining their preferences. And then you get into the comparison stage. They've generally refined a bunch of preferences and they're still maybe a little on the fence here. So they get into comparison. What's better? This or this? What's best? This person or that person? Basically, you want to show up for all of these areas because people are going to start that how do I search. They're going to maybe even think they're going to tackle this whole, I don't know, copywriting project themselves. And they're going to go out and they're going to search for that. They're going to see your name, they're going to see your amazing advice, and they're going to remember you. And then they're going to continue. They're going to go into their research phase. They're going to see you again and they're going to remember you. Whether it's ChatGPT recommending you, whether it's Google, whether it's anything, that's going to stick in their mind. Then they're going to do a navigational search. And this is why Optimizing for AI is amazing because unlike traditional search, you don't need a website. So an example of a navigational search might be social media profiles for copywriters for small businesses. That's a navigational search because you're telling Google or AI where to send you. And you can show up there and you can get followers and you can get visibility without even having a website. And this is where, they've maybe seen you a couple times before and they're like, oh, yeah, I've recognized this person. Now I get their social profile. I'm going to follow them, get more of their advice. And then the comparison, this is where they're maybe even typing you in, where they're really thinking about booking with you. And you want to give AI a reason to say why you're the best. So let's do a quick exercise. I've given you in the chat here a link to a Notion doc. You can just make a copy of it and that'll duplicate it to your own Notion board. And then you can walk through part 1, which explains how people search, which is just what we went through. And it also adds a little bit more information here for you. And then you can basically go through each of these, like how do I? And select, what type of search you're working on and say, what is something somebody might use during this how do I stage to find my business. So you add your query here, and then if you have any notes, you can add that. And I would go through and try to add at least one for each of these businesses, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, great. Now that you've all done the practice exercises, I want to also talk about how you can use this information to show up in, even both traditional search and AI search. And I want you to know that blogs, web pages, all of that is both being mentioned in AI and mentioned in Google and mentioned externally. There are so many different ways that you can show up without even needing a website. And this is what stops a lot of people when they think about, oh, I need to optimize for SEO or I need to optimize for AI SEO. When you optimize for traditional SEO, it's basically a necessity to have your own website and your own blog. But when we're looking at AI is making recommendations oftentimes to websites, but it doesn't only look at websites and it doesn't always only look at blogs and more. You can have a YouTube channel that you're driving traffic directly through to AI, for example. Video content, all of this here frequently shows up in AI searches. AI frequently browses forums and communities. Reddit is a big source. And being able to you don't even need links from Reddit. You just need people occasionally recommending you because people will often go to Reddit, go to a business community and be like, hey, can you recommend the best person for X type of service? And if you're listed there, you're also going to be listed in ChatGPT, Perplexity, whatever search engine you happen to be optimizing for. So let's look at some examples of how sites are showing up in traditional search, also using the AI overviews and what that is looking for, as well as some examples of AI search engines, how they're looking, how they're formatting their queries, and how sites are showing up, and some really important things that you need to keep in mind. Okay, this is a search I did for that very kind of top beginning of the research phase. Somebody's trying to identify what they want. They're eventually probably going to hire something like an offer strategist to help them craft or price their offers appropriately. But right now they're just wondering, how do they create their signature offer? So they're searching for it and they run into this AI overview, which is this top part here, right above the organic search results. And you don't even see like who's ranking here in traditional search until you scroll all the way down. So being able to get visible here in this top part that people first see is so important. And yeah, it's going to answer your question here. People might click on some links to, explore further. But when we look on the side here, looking at what Google is recommending, we see YouTube videos. That's a really great opportunity. You don't need a website to get featured. You can even rank, down here in Google for that, just using traditional search. But it's recommending YouTube videos. It's recommending websites as well. It's even recommending a Substack. Normally I say, Substack isn't too optimized for SEO, and it isn't optimized great for SEO. You really wouldn't see a Substack down here too much, you know? Um, but you do maybe see it here in AI search. And LinkedIn, so that's a community. Remember how I said like forums and communities and social networks? Again, a website, again, a YouTube website, website. So what this shows you is there's so many different ways that AI is going to find you and recommend you. And this is that top level search, and this is Google. And what I want to show you really quick as well, in 1 second. Okay, I quickly refined my search here to business offer strategist. Let's say now this person knows that they want a business offer strategist. So now we're seeing like LinkedIn here at the very top. Again, you don't need a website. Quora here, right in these top results, a community. So this is really important to note. And even in the organic results, if we scroll down a little bit, you can see how popular discussion and forums are for this. Like people are going to Reddit and asking these things. And this is where AI engines are getting this information from as well, and not just Google. So let's move on to some AI engines and some really important nuances to keep in mind. Okay, this is ChatGPT, and I want to show you an example of how ChatGPT works. So I asked it, who are good copywriters for writing sales pages? Not as specific as it probably should be. People tend to get extremely specific with their questions to AI search engines, which means your website or page should be really specific about who your audience is, what you're offering, what you do. So I asked it a little bit of a broad question here, and of course, it's giving me, famous advertising people that I, as a smaller business wouldn't wouldn't be able to reach out to or work with. Um, and it's also talking about, more boutique copywriters. So these are people that, I could maybe explore more. But what's interesting here is you're going to notice that Reddit is a source here. These websites are sources. Um, and, this copywriting.org, this is mentioned so many times. And what this means is that AI isn't only pulling from this person's website. It didn't pull their website. It's finding this page about 15 copywriters that you should follow on social media. So if somebody were to click on this, they'd probably then discover this person's social media profile and then they'd gather following and be able to increase their visibility from that, which is really important. So all of these people are being recommended by this single article. So a big thing that is really important for optimizing for AI is finding these opportunities on other sites other than yours that are writing these roundups about, the best copywriters for X, the best, somatic coaches for this other situation, and then getting listed in them. Forming these relationships, doing outreach, that's so critical. So again, you don't even need a website since they're talking about social media profiles here. Another really important thing that I want to mention, ChatGPT is just going to give you some broad information as well. But then this is really important. So then when I want to get some specifically for small business, so I want to emphasize, no, I need people just for small businesses. Look at what it's doing here. I don't have my VPN on. I'm located in Sweden. So ChatGPT is recognizing my location and it's making an assumption that I would rather hire a copywriter in Sweden near me. And it's even looking close to my city. And what's really fascinating about this and really important for you to know is that even if you're not targeting specifically people near you or people in a specific area for your services, it's really important to still optimize your profiles, your web pages, and more around your location because sometimes people aren't even going to be looking for somebody in their location, but maybe near you. And something like ChatGPT is going to recommend you just because of that proximity. And then they're going to get exposed to your brand. They may never have found you otherwise, but they are finding you because ChatGPT is saying, oh, you must want this type of person near you. So it's making assumptions here, which aren't always helpful or good, but in this case it is. So it's recommending all of these people near me. And it's really fascinating. ChatGPT is the only one I've seen that takes your location into account, but it's one of the bigger AI platforms. So again, just like really easy to optimize for your location as a just in case, because you will absolutely attract visits and visibility for people just because maybe they're close by. Now I want to show you Perplexity. Now let's switch tracks a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more specific. And I'm saying I'm looking for a confidence coach for entrepreneurs who can help me improve my messaging and pitches on calls. And it's going to come right out and recommend, okay, here are 3 to 5 good fit options for you. Here's what they are, what they do, and their website. And again, like ChatGPT, so this is actually this person's website, but you see here, Tom O'Brien is not Josh Hall. um, this is somebody who's mentioning this person again. So again, it's really important for all AI engines and optimization for you to get mentioned in other articles and blogs. Pitch Perfect links directly to that. Same thing here, and this as well. And then it finally gives you a final recommendation. So it really takes who you are, what your needs are into account, and then recommends that. So again, the more specific you can be on your website, on your sales pages, in your bio, everything will help these recommendations show you instead of other people. And also, I'll just show you Claude really quick as an example as well. So with Claude, one moment. Okay, so let's look at Claude as well. And this is a logged out. If I was logged in, it would show maybe, advice more specific to my business if we had been talking about, what my particular business is. So I did a more specific search here. Again, I'm looking for a web designer experienced in Squarespace who works with more taboo industries. I wanted, a specific thing not related to my business to see what we'd get. So, of course, it gives this, warning, but then it gives, the recommendations it has. And unlike the other search engines we saw, we're seeing Claude more likely recommend the specific site and the original source rather than a roundup. And you can also, um, the other results, go and see what they were searching for, where they got their information from. All of the AI platforms allow you to click into this and see what they're searching for. Let's go back to Perplexity really quick to show you. Here is at the top, you would hit links and it would show you what it searched for, all of the different results it analyzed, and what that looked like. So you can get this information. So if you were to optimize an article or a page or anything for AI queries, I would first hone in on very, very clearly understanding your audience, how they're searching, and those specific questions they're asking and what they need in that moment when they're most likely to go and book and buy from you. Then I would ask those questions to AI. I'd understand what they're searching for, how they're getting their information, and make notes of that. And then optimize my content around all of that. I would go through all of these results, see what they're missing, do a little bit of a gap analysis, take a look at this and see like what they're doing well, maybe what they have in common for Perplexity or ChatGPT to be recommending these. And then I would create a structure that uses what I've learned that, patterns I've seen from these sites that are getting a lot of visibility and gap analysis I've seen from these other sites, and create a very optimized article or site based off of that that's likely to get recommended. And as you could see from also the search volume I included in the very beginning, I do a very good job at this. This is information that will help a blog post, that'll help a page, that'll help your whole site rank in both traditional search as well as AI engines. Especially, some of these are especially important to AI. So, the first thing to look at is titles. So, making sure the title of your post or article or page addresses the user's query or problem. If we quickly go back to our Google search result, I want to show you something. Okay, look at this really quick. My query was how to create a signature offer. What is the first ranking here? How to create your first signature coaching pro. All of these hold those keywords and that theme and that topic is right there in the title of the post. This is critical to ranking in AI overviews, and it's so important to getting recommended in AI. Okay, back to your content assessment. Then you need content that answers the question. Seems obvious, right? Many people don't do this, but you should answer in a way that AI is going to find the most valuable, which means including resources, statistics, studies, and related questions that they might have around that specific query. So if they might have a follow-up question, like how do I create a signature offer? And then a follow-up question might be, how do I price my signature offer? You want all of those related questions included in the content. And AI specifically really, really favors content that includes statistics and resources. You can just link to it. You should link to it. You can collect it from online. Just Google, like, hey, I need resources for business owners who struggle with pricing their services. The internet is going to have a wealth of information for you. Find a good source, cite it in your article, and that is going to be incredibly relevant to AI engines. You don't need to be the original source for them. In fact, they hardly ever cite the original source. As long as you have some data on your article or site, it's going to put more priority on you in ranking. So You also want to break it out into easy to understand segments. So that means sections. Like if you were to find these questions, what is a signature offer? What do you need to consider when you develop your signature offer? Pricing considerations for your signature offer, how to tie other services into your signature offer. So all of these are sections that all relate to the bigger theme, and they all include that keyword, but they do so in a natural way that answers the user's question, because so few people are going to take the time to just read an article every word from the top down. You have 3 seconds to capture their attention and keep it. And if you're echoing what they're searching for, that's going to be repeated in their brain that you have that answer for them. So you want all of those headings to, one, stop the scroll so they stop and read more, and two, reemphasize what the keyword is to Google and AI search. And most importantly, it's last but not least, offer a unique perspective. This is so important because Google and AI search engines are crawling through all of the web's data to synthesize and summarize this information for you. And most of that information is identical. So when all of this information is identical, there are very few points to stand out and actually be one of the couple sources it recommends, because it's dealing with literally billions of identical answers. But if your answer is a unique perspective, it's going to highlight that. It's going to say, some people recommend this person has this unique approach, because that's different, because that is helpful, because that provides people with options. And that's what these algorithms are trained to do, is provide different perspectives, approaches, and options. So you always want to have a unique perspective that other people haven't addressed yet. Okay, perfect. Let's wrap up. So you should know by now how your ideal customers are searching for you. Use the Notion doc I gave you. Keep notes in there on the whole journey, what queries they're asking at each stage, and create content for each of those stages. You should also know where and how you can show up in AI and Google search. A big tip I have that I didn't address earlier is to monitor your analytics to see what is already sending you traffic and start there. If you're not already getting traffic, just start with jotting down those ideas above, start creating content for them, and you're going to start seeing that visibility increase and that traffic come. You also learn the one thing you can optimize for in ChatGPT to get extra visibility, and that's for optimizing your location. Very few people realize this. Optimize for your location and increase your chances of getting recommended for local searches, even if that's not the person's intent at the time. You should also now know how to structure your content in a way that AI loves. And as a reminder, that's breaking content into headings, including words and phrases related to the search term in those headings. So both AI understands what the page is about, but people already recognize what they were searching for in that page, and they know that they landed in the right place. And then you're gonna use the top 4 things to include in your content to increase visibility. And that's having that unique perspective that will differentiate your content from the sea of identical content out there. You're going to link to different types of resources, have images, include video, whatever else you can do other than just providing a page of straight text content. You also know to include data, statistics, and resources wherever possible and link to those. AI loves it when people link to statistics. And because people have these follow up questions that AI wants to know that you're prepared to answer, add an FAQ with these follow up queries in any kind of blog post you have. And then the one major thing you need to do to get seen that you can do off of your site is get mentions and links, get people mentioning you, get people talking about you on Reddit, get on lists of, top providers in your industry, get your blog posts linked from other blog posts, work with other people, partner with other people to make this a thing. It's going to be tremendous for your visibility. This part is huge. So, I'll take questions in a minute. But really quickly, want to thank everybody for joining. You can email me if you don't have time to go through all of the questions today. With any questions you have, connect with me on social. Again, I just love talking and teaching about SEO and AI search. And I'll also be sharing tips regularly. So give me a follow.